Hello, Denise. Hello, my love, Erik. How are you doing?
Doing
Love you,
well.
love you both.
Erik says hi, Mama. He's dressed in green today. I don't know why he always shows me in color, but he's in green today.
I don't
He
think it's St. Patrick's Day. That's in March, right?
no, yeah, March
All right.
17th.
I barely got here unscathed because my husband's in Norway, right? So I
Yeah.
always get into some sort of trouble. One time he went and I, with the kids, blew up a dry ice bomb in the house. And I thought, well, it'd be protected if we put it, on an igloo cooler on top. Did not work, but we were all protected behind, a wall and stuff. But went right through the ceiling, so I had to go to Home Depot like a million times. It looks pretty good, but you can still see evidence. Anyway, but just now, our pool cleaner doesn't work, and I feel like it's probably because Michelle and them did things to make the hot tub work. Okay, well, anyway, I just did one valve, everything exploded, so I got to call the pool man before he gets home Friday. Shit. Anyway,
Whoa.
but that's not what we're here to talk about, is it?
No, and Erik is real excited about this one. I feel like he's gone back in time. I don't know if he's been playing with me with the different characters, but he's been showing me a purple dinosaur, and then he's trying to tell me he's a carnivore, and
Barney!
and
The
so
sweet T-Rex, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, but so I don't know if he was into Barney I don't even know if
Oh,
Barney.
yeah, he loved it. Yeah, of
Okay, because
course.
he was playing around with that, and then I said, "Well, what kind are you, Erik?" And he goes, "I'm a carnivore," and I was like, I don't know why I thought you'd be a vegetarian, but he says he's a carnivore.
No, he loved beef. So
Okay.
what is your favorite dinosaur, Erik? That's actually one of the questions.
He says that he really liked the one he showed me, and I don't know the names. I'm so sorry. He really says he's liking the one with the spikes on the back, and
Oh,
they're
Stegosaurus?
I guess that's what they're called.
I don't know.
He's
But,
showing me it's kind of similar to what we would call an armadillo type thing. It's the way
hmm.
it's low to the ground, but it has those on the back and it's long with the tail. He says he's really liking that. Um, he says he likes those because of the nature of how they are. And he says how they are, so I guess they're still here. But he says they're very he says they're very low keyed, but they're very in tune with everything, and I guess with
Wow.
everything around. Yeah, so
Interesting. Sorry, my hair's wet, people. Just took a bath. Gotta do that once every couple of months, so whether I need it or not. Anyway, so, okay, good. Got a bunch of dinosaur questions from people.
okay.
Some of them might be duplicates, so I'll read those out. What level of consciousness, Erik, did they have? Did dinosaurs think or feel or have some sort of self-awareness?
Erik said, of course they thought, they were thinking animals because they're of energy. He says everything thinks, but just not in a way like maybe we think, but yes, they think. He says a lot of what they're thinking was about, he's saying, is about, um, of course, food.
Food and sex, that's it. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
and well, he says, mating and caring for the young for some, and um, mating and finding a, you know, because they were territorial as well. He's saying so they had
Yeah.
to, about and they were what people would consider they just not they never had a permanent home. They just kept traveling.
Like
He said
nomads.
that's
So,
that's exactly what he said was a nomad, and I'm like, and I just, yeah, that's exactly what he said, like a nomad. They just, and he says how they traveled was they went with the vibration of the planet, I guess, of the
ooh,
earth, because of because the vibration would lead them to where their next food was, their water was, or
Yeah.
whatever. So they would just follow it. He's showing me it's kind of he says they were just real intuitive about how to do it, and he's showing me it's kind of like how way back when how the Aborigines just tuned into their body and knew where to go for their next food and knew where to go for water or whatever. They just didn't.
Wow. So they were pretty much driven by instinct for survival, really.
Yes,
They didn't
yes.
have any higher like philosophy, like whatever Kant or whatever. I'm just kidding. Were they primal or advanced?
Erik says,
Not to be judging. I don't say that to judge you. This is,
no. Erik says, they were advanced because he was telling me that, and earlier before this started, he was telling me that, they came here from a higher dimension, coming here to this,
really?
yes, to this planet. It wasn't like we started out at ground zero
Oh my God! Tell me more about that. But go on, go on.
and just here's this, animal or whatever. This is like, okay, let's bring these species here, and he says it was more like, he doesn't want to say experimental, but it's kind of like the same thing why we're here, it's just like, um, let's see how we work here. And there he's saying that it's for them, it's like, let's see how this all works here.
What are you talking about? Is God source doing this, or aliens, or what?
Well, he says everything originates from, the ultimate source, the prime source.
Yeah,
Everything originates from that. So they're all from that. So
yeah.
these are all, they all come from the creator. He says we cannot not come from that. But they did come from other planets. He said yes, and the way he's showing me 3 balls. So I'm thinking like 3 different planets is where they
Okay.
came from. He says it, dependent, but they all they all cohabitated together. It's like everybody respected everybody's boundaries, so to speak. But he says, of course, they did. He's saying some people did have each other for lunch. He's saying,
Oh
like,
God, of course. I mean, that's
you know,
survival.
well, and he says that's the way they were built to do this,
Yeah.
and he's telling me like they were all in agreement for this,
Wait, well, why? Who brought them from these 3 other planets to Earth?
Erik is telling me that it's some what we would call aliens. I would just call them beings, but he's saying it's kind of like an experimental thing. Is
Kind of
to
like
see,
Jurassic Park. I mean, DNA and stuff like
I don't
that.
know about I don't know about Jurassic Park, but he's saying it's kind of like an experimental, like
Oh,
it was experimental. He says what we are is experimental here,
yeah.
and he says but they were here to serve a purpose, and he's telling me they came here, and he's showing me how they're walking around and how their energy was needed here.
Why?
Um, he's saying one to help balance out the planet somehow. And when he says balance out the planet, he's showing me like the almost like he's showing me weather balls, whatever that is, like the weather, the climate, the energy of
The
the planet.
volcanoes and all that stuff,
Yeah,
right? I
just
guess maybe.
everything. Yeah, just
Yeah.
everything. He's saying balancing it out. How he's showing me how, so they were much needed. And I'm asking him, Erik, were they all over the place? And he said, no, they were only. He's showing me they were only in a certain location for the most part, because some of this wasn't here already. It's like parts of the map evolved
Oh yeah,
as
yeah.
time went on.
Pangea. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what he's showing me. I find that interesting. So yeah.
That, that is. So, why did these beings want to do this experiment with by bringing dinosaurs here to Earth?
Erik says one is to see how they would do, almost like how they would do unsupervised, in a sense,
Oh,
how they
okay.
would be unsupervised. So
Why were they supervising the other planets?
that's what I'm asking Erik, like, how are they, like, what do you mean? Like parents leaving them alone or something? He says, when they're here, he says, it's almost like this all sounds so bizarre to me, but he says when they were here, it's it's almost like they were, the whiteboard was wiped clean of how things were done, and then they were to figure things out. And he says
Okay.
it's like an experimental thing. But when they are at their own planets, and he's saying these are far away,
Oh God, yeah.
he says they're, it's almost like they know where their place is, and they know how to behave, and they know what to do. And Erik says they're not as big over there as they were here. And
Yeah,
the
some of
reason
them
why
were big.
they were large over here is because the space was allowed.
Yeah, and there was so much vegetation back then.
Yeah. Oh,
And
Erik
yeah.
says, oh yeah, oh yes.
So they were free range dinosaur experiment. Okay, so
That's a good word for it. He says that is a good word, Mom. That's a good word. Free
you
range.
probably channeled it to me. Okay, so um I think, at least according to the Land Before Time series, that the planet was a pretty hostile place to live. A lot of lava. How did they deal with that? Or maybe it wasn't the truth, but
Erik is saying that it was, well, it was a very immature place, very undeveloped. He's saying
yeah,
so,
yeah.
he's saying that's part of the reason why they were so large, so they
Oh,
wouldn't feel as, so that they could have some control or whatever, and so they could have some control. He's saying, um,
okay,
but yet, um, but also it was just like a big playground for them, is what he's saying.
okay. So on an average, I just had a big old blob list. I got rid of. Anyway, what kind of intellect, as a general rule, I'm sure there's a gradation, did dinosaurs have?
Well, he's saying that, of course they weren't as evolved as what we would say as we are, or as some of our animals are today, because this was, even though
Well,
he
there's
said,
different types of intellect, of course, too.
yes,
So,
yeah, but they knew enough about survival, and that, and what to do. um,
okay.
they had instinct about when to be on the alert, when to fear something, when to know to be careful and stuff.
So survival intellect, basically, right?
Erik says, Erik says yes, yeah. To keep it simple, he says yes, yes,
Yes, keep it simple, please. What kind
yes.
of emotions, if any, did they have?
Emotions.
Yeah.
He said, they did mourn for, not all of them, but he's showing me there are quite a few that mourn, like when there was a death, due
Oh,
to a
yeah.
fight or something,
I can
or
relate.
or yeah, or if there was a sickness, one,
Yeah.
or one of them got injured or something, um, or one that didn't make it far after birth or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just asked him, Erik, did they have more than one baby at a time, because they were so huge? And he was saying, No, they just usually had one. Sometimes he says there were even twins back, like they would have, depending on the size of the egg.
Most of them were eggs, though, right? Not
Yes,
all of them, but
not all of them, but he's showing, because I asked him about some. I said, how do they? And he said most of them had one, but some of them had twins. But he says the eggs, they didn't have many eggs at one time either, and that was something when they laid eggs. When you're just saying that, he said that's when a lot of sensitivity kicked in, and how they would feel the earth with their feet and everything, because the eggs were always being robbed, and so they
oh.
had to be careful of that. But
Well, there was a time when my kids were teenagers. I thought, oh God, please rob them out of the nest, please. I'm kidding.
yeah,
I'm kidding.
no, but he says, there was a motion of sadness, and
Yeah. Wow.
but,
Wow.
but he says, and it's kind of still the same, and and the wildlife, it's like it's just a part of nature, and you move on, and
Yeah.
they know how to shake it quicker than and they feel it. He's saying more so than as what it is. It's just a part of evolution, and part of the life cycle as it comes and goes.
Oh.
But anger, he says, definitely anger.
Yeah.
Anger a lot.
And is that mostly like aggression because of being territorial, or
He says yes, territorial.
and the mate thing?
Territorial, and when it had to do with territorial, but it's like when someone, he's showing me that there were some that like to, as he's saying, trespass, and then that would just really that would
Piss them off. Yeah.
get anger and stuff. He says of
Okay.
course there was fear too, because they would know that some danger was coming around and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Now,
but
man and dinosaur never coexisted at the same time, right?
he said no, they did not.
Okay. Did they dream at all?
um Erik says yes, because Erik says yes, but not in the way that like we dream. Theirs is more. He says for the dinosaurs, theirs was more for about information.
Okay.
I guess. I guess the beings, whoever brought them here, sent them here, was giving them information, or they were getting it. He says it's
Oh,
more from
so being
information.
uploaded information from the.
Yeah, I feel like yeah. And
Wow.
Erik is telling me too that where like they would get a charge or energy or something to do with crystals and stuff like that, like
Oh,
with
wow.
with yeah, with crystals and stuff. And
So they were highly affected by crystals, and there was a lot of crystals in the making during the time when Earth physically was still being made.
yeah, because Erik has shown me like big crystals, like that was just I would guess you would say like a recharge. It's like they knew where to go to,
Oh,
like um and I just feel like those crystals had like information for them, almost just kind of information.
interesting.
I know.
All right. What overall, if any, was their spiritual contract?
Well, they didn't have a spiritual contract, he said, like we do, you know, but their spiritual contract was to be a part of this, he says, this experiment, like this, because he's saying it's like they
Ah,
were here for an experimental
yeah,
thing, was to come here and see
yeah,
and how they would be. And he said, and Erik is saying they did a damn good job of it too, being here.
yeah. Oh, so animals are great teachers. What lesson can dinosaurs teach us?
Um, the first thing Erik said was equality,
Oh,
about equality,
yeah.
about, and I'm asking, what do you mean by that, Erik? Is that that Erik is saying that we're all equal, because that is something that
Yes, we're all part of the one,
that
the
they all
collective.
knew, that they all had their space, but they were
Yeah.
all equal.
Okay, so we're all, dinosaurs included, whole and part of God. And a very important question is, T-Rex, you working on those push-ups? I'm kidding. Sorry. Okay, did they have anything similar to the human experience?
What do you mean by that?
Like learning through contrast?
Oh yeah, he said yes, absolutely. About um, he's telling me about being some of them were, like they would be how would you like defiant in a way, because there was always a leader, because you have to have a
Yeah,
leader somebody always has to be the first in line,
yeah,
no matter what.
of
So,
course.
but it's almost like defiant, because there was that going on. He said he wouldn't equate it to ego at all, but it was just one feeling like they were just as good or whatever. And I'm asking Eric, when you're saying that, that's kind of like ego. He says it does sound like ego, but it's not the same as ego. It's just a matter of the pecking order, and people feel like they should be next or whatever. But he says some animal, one male is going to be more dominant, more aggressive than the other, and that's how they get up to the front line. And he says sometimes these animals just don't pay attention, and then there was consequences for it.
Yeah, but
um,
what happens to the whole we're learning that we are all equal thing?
well, the equal thing, he's saying the equal thing is Erik is, when you're asking that, he's saying that the equal thing is that there is no, he says that is different from the the who has to be in the first of the line. The equal thing is that everybody's equal to have the same space, that he's showing
Okay.
the same food, the same, he's saying swimming rights. He's showing me how they love to be in the water a lot.
Oh, a lot of
Uh,
them did. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's in that sense, but he says there always has to be someone in front of the line to lead it. And if you get out of it, he says, then you do there are consequences.
Well, that's really important for the whole of this, for the safety of the species. Same
It
thing
is
with
for the
horses. I
safety.
mean,
It is for the safety, because the one leading the pack, he's showing me, is taking the front hit of
yeah,
anything that comes in front, like
yeah.
he's showing me like a big hole or whatever it might be that could cause harm.
All right. Somebody wants to know, whatever caused the extinction of dinosaurs, will it happen again? What caused the extinction of the dinosaurs? And this person wants to know if it will happen again in our lifetime to humans.
Erik says, no, it's not going to happen to us humans,
Okay.
because what happened, he says, with the dinosaurs and extinction, and Erik is telling me, and a lot of the reason why we're finding their their bones and stuff like that is because it was purposely left for people, for us to find, for us to do.
Oh.
It was purposely left. Not
Hmm.
all of them were left behind, and
Yeah.
we won't find a bunch like, we think we should find thousands and thousands and thousands, because they were, Erik has shown me like beam me up Scotty type thing. um,
Wait, what?
like beam me up
They
Scotty.
beamed the remains up?
The some of the dinosaurs back to wherever they were going,
Oh, wow. After they
wherever they.
died or right before they died? So, yeah.
Erik has shown me like when they were still alive, even.
Oh,
So,
was it to spare them from their demise?
well, yeah, because Erik is saying it's like the science project was over, the experiment was.
Oh, wow.
And I'm asking Erik, how long did this go on for? And he's telling me, for he says a couple thousand years this went on, in the dinosaurs were there, and it was purpose they were purposely here by themselves along with vegetation and stuff, um, and it was purposely to where we would find the bones if we wanted to dig for them and stuff.
Why did they want us to find the bones? I'm presuming the beings that brought them here.
To learn from, to learn from, and also to know that, it's also, Erik says, a part of it is to know that we're not superior, that there was something else other than here.
Yeah.
If we only had picture books to say dinosaurs were here, we wouldn't believe them.
Wow.
Just like people don't, he's saying, like people don't believe in mermaids,
Yeah.
because we have picture books, we have fairy tales and this, but we don't have any mermaid body to show this lived here, And he goes,
Exactly.
hell, Mom, they don't believe in me because they don't see me,
Oh, I
And this
believe
is,
in you, baby. Mm.
and he says, but the dinosaurs, they wanted us to know this because there's stuff for us to live from. And Erik is telling me something about the, I don't know if he's saying something about the DNA from them dinosaurs. I'm wondering, and I'm asking him, do some of us come from the planet that the dinosaurs came from?
Ooh.
Because he's showing me something to do with the DNA, like they can find something from that. And Erik says, there are people who come from planets where there are creature like dinosaurs,
Yeah.
um, that are similar to them, that people resonate with that type of species.
Well, somebody asked, why is it that so many like 4 or 5-year-old boys, like actually Michelle also was, get so into dinosaurs? Does it have something to do with that?
Good question. Erik says, in some sense, yes, it does, but another is because on I want to say like a cellular level, on a higher self level, on a your inner self knowing knows that it's real, and
Yeah.
you can pick up on that energy when you're in tune to that. That is so cool because I had a nephew who was nothing but dinosaurs for
I
years.
know. Michelle was crazy about them. At the age of 3 or 4, she knew all of their names.
My
So,
daughter has a friend that's crazy about the T-Rex one.
yeah. So, can
Huh.
you name, do we know any of the names of the planets that, these dinosaurs came from? Arcturus, Sirius, I don't know. Anything?
Eric's Erik isn't giving me he's showing me they're like, and the way he's showing me the three balls that symbolizes the planet, they're way out there. We would just never,
Okay. So,
we would
no
just,
names? We don't know them yet.
no, we have
Okay.
no, yeah, Erik says we have no idea. And so he says, in that sense, you can say, yeah, they're pretty evolved, the dinosaurs, because of where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, how did they become extinct? Is that whole meteor thing part of it? And if so, what percent actually died and what percent? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's my reminder that we're supposed to have a session at 5. Uh-oh. Sorry. And what percentage got beamed up back to their home planet? But first of all, how did they become extinct? Was it the meteor?
Erik says, Erik says, no, that's not the reason they became extinct.
Wow.
Because Erik, and this is what Erik is telling me. He's saying it's like the project was over with.
Okay.
So it's like saying he says the dinosaurs didn't do anything wrong. They didn't destroy anything, and it wasn't just a meteor that destroyed everything and killed them all. I do. That wasn't what caused that. He's saying, I'm not. He's not saying, and I'm not saying that the meteor didn't happen or the freeze didn't happen or whatever happened didn't happen. But that's not why it happened. Erik is just real adamant about the experiment was over, the project was over. How many died? He said, there were,
Like percentage-wise, 2%? No.
no, he says there was a large percentage. I'm asking him, and he says it's, Erik, he says it's kind of like, you want to, when you're selling your store, you want to, or you're moving your store, you want to sell as much product so you don't have to move as much.
Oh no! She says, "Oh, let's get rid of some of them because we can't beam all their asses up here. It's gonna be too much." Is that it?
Yeah, yes, that's how Erik is
God.
showing me how they did that. So I feel like a good he's showing me 7.5, so I'm taking that as 75%. We're like, okay, we'll leave our body here and go up. And so when he said that, I'm asking Erik, well, why didn't the other 25% do the same and just go up? Because we're all spirit.
Yeah.
And we're all beings. Why didn't they
Yeah.
do that? And
Good question.
Erik is saying, he says it's because some of them, I don't know how to explain it, how he's showing me. It's kind of like they were, and I'm asking him, did they shrink them before they bring them back? How did they bring those large animals back, Erik?
What do you mean bring them back?
Like, not to where they didn't get extinct, but they moved them to the other, because Erik is making me feel like they moved them to another planet or something,
Yeah,
or took
that's
them
fine.
back. And so I'm asking him, how did they bring the big ones back, the large ones? But Erik is saying how
Beam me up, Scotty.
that's basically about how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I guess they shrunk down to the normal size, Erik. And he's like, he says, that's a good analogy to say it, because
Okay.
our minds can't go out there as much as we
Well,
can't
just
comprehend it all.
we don't have the vocabulary probably.
Mm-hmm.
When they did die, did they transition to heaven where Erik is? I mean, are there dinosaurs in heaven, Erik?
He says, well, we're all together, because he says I can just think it and then we're here. But
Yeah.
he says these are further down the hall, is what he says. So, because they're in back where they originated from, is what it is.
What do you mean?
Like, they're at those 3 planets he's showing me that.
Oh, so but the ones that actually died, they did not go to like the afterlife?
Well, he says yes, but they just go back to where they originated from. He
Oh,
says
okay.
like I did.
Ah, I got it. Okay. Were dinosaurs intentionally made extinct? Well, we talked about that a little bit, right? Because too many to beam up. Um, what about the rare sightings people have, like pterodactyls flying, sea creatures, etc.? I didn't know anything about that, but cool.
I didn't either, but I do see creatures like the pelican
Oh,
looks like a prehistoric animal to me.
yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I see them, I'm like, oh, y'all look weird. Erik says no fear, because they're not gonna like get so enlarged and come over here, like get that big again. But he says there are sightings of some gentle ones that people seen. He's showing me the water, so they must be in the water. But he's just saying, he says that we still have a remnants of it, and a small thing. He says like the lizards and stuff like that,
Oh
but
yeah.
they're just in a smaller thing. And so I'm asking him, are roaches one of them? Because
Oh God.
I know I hate those things.
Oh God.
And he's laughing. He's got a roach and doing this to me,
Oh
dangling
gross.
out.
Oh,
But he says, but there's a lot of animals that resemble of some dinosaurs, like the
yeah.
iguanas, and he's saying, but Erik tells me we don't need to worry about, and I guess because I'm like going, "Whoo, I don't want to see a big one," but not to that degree where it will be
Oh yeah. No.
so overpowering and stuff. And he said, "But yes, it is. It's just like the caveman and us. We're kind of,
Yeah.
but
Or
we
so,
but
are there
evolved."
any dinosaurs like there used to be? I mean, in the world still, like Loch Ness monster, for example. I mean,
That must have been who Erik was talking about.
oh, okay. Tell us about that. I mean, yeah. I mean, there are the the progeny, the lizards, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm talking about the big D, the big dinosaur. Are there any remnants left? For example, is Loch Ness monster Nessie one of them?
He says, yes, you could say he's in that, she is in that category. But they also know, though, they're pretty intelligent. He says they know to stay out of our eyesight.
Oh, can they change and go to other dimensions? Like go from Earth to another dimension, just like Bigfoot, to hide themselves? Are they interdimensional beings?
Erik is saying yes because he's showing me them disappearing. So
Oh, I
I'm like,
bet.
they don't go invisible. So yes, yes. He's,
Okay.
yeah,
Um,
that's fascinating.
that is fascinating. What don't we know about them? Are there any surprises up their sleeves that we don't know about?
Um, Erik says, well, there's a lot that we don't know about them, because we
Yeah,
have,
what?
we
Yeah,
haven't had the chance to
yeah.
capture one and dissect them like we
Mm,
have other beings, he's
yeah.
saying. So there's a lot that we don't know, but um, he's showing me that they bled red blood.
Okay,
So I was like,
interesting.
so he's
Not
showing.
for some reason I thought it would probably be blue blood. Anything else of
Um,
interest?
you know, um, he's showing me that like they also had organs kind of similar to ours, like
Okay.
the organs in that needed. They might not have been the same shape or whatever, or somebody, if they were to have gotten a hold of one to dissect, he says they might not say that's a liver, that's a kidney, or a pancreas, or whatever. But they had organs in their body that functioned similar to ours, he's saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, is there any relationship between dinosaurs and the much talked about reptilian race or not?
He says there, yeah, he said, yeah, yeah, there is.
Can you talk more about that?
He's telling me um, they're like cousins, is what he's saying. It's like they're like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he's saying.
Okay. Um, are birds of today descendants from dinosaurs?
He says yes, in a sense, because because they had birds back then, and our birds today don't look anything like them, just like the caveman and stuff like that. We
Ah,
don't, we
yeah.
kind of resemble that, but yet we have evolved a lot more, so we do look different
Okay.
and stuff. So he says
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Do did they have feathers? Or I mean, or tell me what their skin was like. Maybe some of them have feathers and some of them didn't, but can you talk about their
Well, he showed me. Yeah,
there?
he showed me. Yeah, they had. He said yes. They had feathers because the feathers. He's showing me when they fly. They may not be fully engulfed in feathers, is what he's showing me. Because the way he showed me one of the wingspans reminds me of like a bat.
Okay.
And but he says that there are it's like fur or little feathers on it to protect from the elements of the air, and I feel like he's talking about like maybe the sun or the water, and then also that helps with the flight and stuff like that.
So like we're talking about like pterodactyls and things that flying dinosaurs, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
they are the ones that had feathers for the most part, right?
Well, he showed me some of them had like little feathers and stuff like that, but their skin, he says, was he showed me like it was pretty thick. Like what? And I'm asking why
Hmm.
it's thick, and he said for protection. For
From
protection, I guess from predators or
oh
whatever.
yeah, I can imagine. Is it like elephants? I mean, and are elephants kind of like? Do they have? Did they evolve from dinosaurs?
Erik says they're a descendant. Yeah, he says they're a descendant. Um, is their skin like dinosaurs? I mean, like elephants? No, it's. I feel like it was their skin was a different texture back then, and it was due to the times that they were born in.
And what? How would you describe the difference in texture?
He's showing me it's just he's showing me thick and and he's showing me how it's just got like a little bunch of lines all going through it. I wish I could draw it like
Kind of
how.
like wrinkles, like
Yeah,
elephants have, right?
yeah.
But thicker, or the skin
It's
was
thicker,
thicker.
thicker, thicker. He said it was thicker, and he says it needed it because of uh, protection. Protection, the elements, the
Yeah.
environment, and stuff like that. Um, and I can see that, especially as far as the birds in that, because of their only saving grace is their feet, which that's not
Yeah.
really their feet, whatever you call them, and being able to take flight. But he's
Yeah.
showing me some of them birds had teeth in them.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. What was your average lifespan, like in human years, maybe? What, in human years or just whatever.
He said that real big ones, the tall ones in that,
I mean, not. I'm not talking about if when they were killed by
yeah.
predators,
But he's
etc.
showing me like 70 years, 80 years.
Wow.
And he's showing me even the one that he likes is like about between 50 and 60 years. He said they had a good lifespan.
Well, what was their usual cause of death? Did they get diabetes or what? Strokes? I don't know.
He says it was their time to transition.
Oh, just old age. Okay.
Yeah.
Were dinosaurs monogamous like penguins? I mean, maybe not all species, but some.
Yeah, because he's telling me no, that's
Oh, okay.
not not no. He's telling me no. I'm asking him who was or who um, he's showing me. It's real funny because he shows me the one that he likes, the one with the that razor.
Stegosaurus? Yeah.
Yeah, those are or were, and
Okay. Hmm.
um, some of the birds were. He's saying
Oh,
were
okay.
were monogamous. Yeah,
Okay.
but for the most part, he says no. It's
Are
just
penguins? I mean, she mentioned he or she. Penguins, are they descendants of dinosaurs, the ones that had wings?
Um, Erik says, yes, you could say that. Yes, because they
Okay.
evolved. Yes, you could say that. And Erik says, and yes, they're monogamous.
Okay.
Penguins are. Yeah.
Are there any specific species of dinosaurs that have not been discovered yet? And if so, which continent could they be found in?
Erik says yes, and he tells me, um, and he tells me the Antarctic.
Ooh, y'all go searching. Y'all can get really rich finding them old dinosaurs that haven't been discovered. Okay.
And yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I would
So,
love to go there.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, why? Somebody asked, why are the bones radioactive? I didn't know that they were. Are they
I
really?
didn't know either.
Are they radioactive, or is that person talking about carbon dating?
Erik says what that person's talking about. The dinosaurs themselves aren't radioactive, but Erik says what that person is talking about. Some of them have been found with some of that in there, but that's because of them being in the dirt, being in there for so long,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the combination of the dirt and whatever else that goes on down in there
Okay.
is creating that. It's a
Okay.
natural. It's a natural one. It's not
Okay.
from a dumping site, and it's um, yeah.
So we don't have to get Aaron, Brockovich in on this thing. Um, did
No,
they record? Do they reincarnate here on Earth or elsewhere for that matter?
they don't reincarnate here.
Okay, maybe to
You
their
know,
home planet or something.
yes, to their home planet. Now, when they were transitioning back and forth, yes, they would reincarnate and come back here. But
Ah,
but now they don't. They don't come back here. They're not
okay,
uh, in the form that they were in then. They're not reincarnating back here. No.
okay. Um, were they good parents? I mean, were they mothering or fathering well, the children, their offspring? Or it's
Eric's
like, okay, you're on your own, like crocodiles do, maybe.
Eric says the mothers were nurturing to a certain time span, and then it's like you're
Until
on
they ate them. I'm kidding.
your yeah. To the,
I'm
um,
hungry. Junior, come here.
but they also herded together. Like Eric is
Oh,
saying herded, like, and he's showing me like cows, like they stay in the herds.
ah,
Or and I'm asking Eric. Eric calls them herds, and I'm thinking more like packs.
yeah.
But Eric, like a lion herd or
Yeah,
something.
probably
Or
some were
buffalo.
packs, the more predator, and the ones that were prey more were probably herds. Like,
Okay, yeah, because
yeah.
Eric is showing me like they stay in herds, like
Okay.
kind of like a family, I guess.
Wow. How do they communicate with each other?
Telepathically,
I
energetic.
knew it. Oh,
Yes.
wow. Cool.
Mhm.
I don't know about this because I didn't know that an inner Earth existed. Are any dinosaurs has evolved? Do they live in inner Earth now? First of all, is there an inner Earth? Because I think I asked that before and it was not the case.
Like,
Like a hollow Earth or something.
um, Eric says, well, Eric says, are they living in the inner Earth? Eric says, no, they're not.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric says that.
Okay.
Is there an inner Earth? It's Eric says people want to know, is there a city underneath the city?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what people want to know. And Eric says, of course, there's more going on than what's going on here, that we're on this planet, but it's not as it's not the way some people think of as an inner city. They the way Eric is telling me, some people feel that the inner city is um, like something working against us, or we're working against it, and
Oh,
that's not what's going on.
I gotcha. Okay. Someone wants to know if the famous Devil's Tower is a fossil of the leg or any part of a giant being. That's not to do with dinosaurs, but that's kind of cool.
Erik says there's some truth to that theory on that.
Well,
Yes.
tell me what element of truth is there?
He says it is part of a large being, but he's showing me that there was some really large characters, um, like large, like
Mm.
9, 10 feet tall.
Well, were they humanoid or what were
Yeah,
they?
like they look human to me. What he's showing me, like arms and legs and a body, and
Whoa.
I know, and I'm like,
Well, that's where the whole legend about giants came from. Is almost always an element of truth. But where do these giants come from? Are they from Earth? Were they from other planets? Are they nice? Were they nice, mean? I mean, more, please.
Erik says they do come from another planet,
Wow.
and I don't know. Erik is making me feel like their DNA and stuff was mixed with something for them to be so tall. I'm like, gee, because I'm like looking, going, Jesus. And he said, that they were nice within their group. They weren't
Okay.
mean. They were nice within their group. Um, he says, but of course we're going to think they're not very nice being such a giant and walking. And Erik is saying because their views different on things. And
Well,
he's,
I guess so. Higher perspective. But they didn't like take maidens in distress and whatever, or
Erik,
torch village, stomp on villages like Godzilla.
no, Erik says no. It's Erik says no.
Okay.
Erik
That's
says
weird.
no. It is weird.
Wow. How long were they here? Decades, centuries? And why? Why did they come here?
Erik is saying to help pave the way for us,
What do you mean?
like help prepare the land. It's like they were sowing the land, sowing the dirt for us.
Oh, wow.
Like that's like they were preparing it for us.
For agriculture, you're talking about? That kind of thing?
Just preparing it. Well, I guess you could say agriculture, but for everything, it's like they were just
Wow.
preparing.
Mother Earth.
Yeah, the way it was. Erik said they didn't live a long time,
Okay.
and yeah, they weren't here for thousands of years. No, I feel like they were like a in and out burger. They weren't. They weren't
That's
here.
funny.
They weren't. That's what Erik told me to say. In and out
That's
burger.
funny.
So,
Well, what time period was that in? Was it
Er-
before humans were on Earth, or?
Erik says yes. Erik
Oh,
says yes.
okay, good.
And I'm
That's all I
asking,
guess.
is
Yeah.
it before dinosaurs or after
Ooh, good
dinosaurs?
question.
And because and then I'm thinking that those people could have lived with the dinosaurs because they were real tall and that. And Erik says no, the dinosaurs were separate. These were Erik is showing me after dinosaurs.
Ooh, I'd like to see a wrestling match between T-Rex and those tiny arms and a giant. Oh boy, that'd be fun.
I know.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
Erik, do you have any other thing you can share about dinosaurs? And Denise, do you have any other questions you want to ask in about this topic? Because this has been so cool. Oh God,
This is amazing to me. I mean, it's like
so fun.
is what um, Erik is telling me that you know more and more is going to get discovered about them,
Yeah.
and we're going to find out how important they were to this planet.
Oh wow.
Because he's telling me everything here that's here now and everything that was here is why we're where we are right now. So without
Wow.
the dinosaurs, and he's going, and even without the roaches, we need all of that for us. I know, I know. You know, if I have to kill something, I tell it to go to the light. But with
I
a roach,
know, I
I
know.
never tell it to.
I can't kill them. I
I
will take
never tell them to go to the light.
no. I take a roach. Well, first of all, my husband there. I said, please take care of this. Oh my god! But otherwise, I take an index card and a Dixie cup and then take it outside.
Oh heck no! I smash. I'm sorry. I
Ooh,
did.
I don't like to see the guts.
Ooh.
Gross thing.
But
I
but
remember in Galveston, I was in an apartment where there's so many German roaches, so gross.
yes.
And there was a roach crawled out, and I slammed the door on it, and it cut it in half. There's all this gross white stuff coming out of it. Okay, I'm not gonna have dinner tonight. Okay, all right. Thank you. You guys check out Denise at deniseramon.com. You see how awesome she is. Come on, really.
You're so sweet.
Don't deny yourself. And I love you, Denise. I love you, Eric, and I love all you peeps out there.
Eric says, "I love you, Mama." He said, "I love you a lot."
I love you so much.
He just kissed you on your forehead.
Oh.
All
right. Bye, sweeties.
Bye, love. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.